my dude? It's been a long time. Feels like a long time at least. So I'm back. Started making some more videos. Life got a little hectic. Work, paying bills. Y'all know how it goes. It's real life, guys. Just part of it. Somebody's got to do the work. Anyways, we're out here today. I'm gonna do a little 4x4 review, a little bit of detail on it, what I've been doing with it. You guys have been seeing some pictures posted. I've been catching a bunch of fish on it lately, so figured I'd put a little something together for you. But anyways, thanks for hanging in there if you've been hanging in there, waiting for a video. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the comments. Just a dinosaur. I'm gonna stand in the shade for a second. But I appreciate all the support, you guys. So, like I said, put some more videos together. I'm gonna throw one together. Hopefully get something done by tonight, tomorrow night. Today is Thursday, yeah. So, let's get to it. Let's try and catch a fish. I got the chesty on. There's a wall up here. I think I can get a fish off of it. And then we're gonna sit down and talk about the bait some. Cool, all right, well, I'm gonna get back to it, guys. Stop rambling. See y'all in a sec. All right, so I just saw a monster come up and crush one. It's crushing a bluegill over there on the opposite side on that little wall. Pushed it up on the wall and was just crushing it. So got me a little excited, picking up my pace a little bit here and trying to get over there, get a little bit quicker. Seems like a guaranteed fish if you ask me. Surprised I hadn't got one yet, but then again, it is like 11 o'clock, middle of the daytime. I would figure these fish are a little pushed off. This pond's pretty shallow, so. But to see that in the shade, big fish feeding, gives me hope. I caught a big fish here earlier in the year, so I know they're in here. But I'm gonna get one on the old 4x4 waking shad. I seen some. Oh, there he is. Oh, we lost him. Wow, awesome hook set. How did he not, oh man. That's every bit, that was a good one. Probably a 6 or 7 at least. I mean, he stopped the bait. I don't know if you guys can see it, there's probably a ton of glare. But he came out of the grass. I made that cut behind his house right here. Shook it a couple of times and he smashed it. I just didn't get him. Typical. Looks like he hit it pretty good. Yeah, that was a good fish. He was aggressive. I don't think he'll bite again. Pretty sure we got a hook or two in him. Dang. I was on like the second cast. I let him set. I feel like he's still in there somewhere. Sure enough, they got him to eat the shad too. Well guys, welcome back. We're here at the house now. Did that fishing. This is actually way past probably a couple of days, 3 days, 4 days. This is past anyway, so we're here back at my house. Gonna go over the weight 4x4. Gonna let you guys get a little better idea, close up, in person, and kind of talk about it, personal experiences, and kind of what I do with the bait. So starting off, look at the tail, so sad looking. That's my 4x4 weight. This is a floater. This I believe this is the original one. I think this was the original one that came out when we prototyped the bait. This was the original one. Just got a line on there, super classy. But anyway, so let's talk about it. Let's break it down. What is it? Why do I use it? When is it effective? When should you guys be throwing it? When are you going to capitalize on a big fish by throwing the 4x4 wake? Well, let's get into it. All right, so getting right into it. 4x4 wake and shad. It's been out for a little while now. You guys have probably seen it a lot. This is a close cover, tight quarters kind of bait. When we're talking about swim baits, you're talking about big baits, heavy baits, wood baits, big plastic baits, silicone baits, big resin baits, and you're throwing these on long cast. You're throwing them around big structure. You're really trying to cover a lot of water, draw a big fish out, get a big bite, right? Okay, but at the same time, as a swim baiter, you're going to be passing up a lot of these fish that your jig fishermen, your flipping guys are going to be getting that you're not going to get a chance at because you're throwing a big bait and you're not able to put it in those tight locations where the big fish is pushed back in a bunch of wood, a bunch of reeds, or some type of structure that big fish feels safer in. So that big fish is going to stay there. Now, how do we get a big bait in there? Yeah, you can throw a big weedless bait in there. Don't get me wrong. You can throw a big line through and sink the hook back in there, do a bunch of stuff, throw just a screw lock, but there's also, the chance that you're going to get a bad bite on that big bait and you're just going to miss the fish. I don't know how many times I've thrown a big plastic in there, missed a fish. Right now, don't get me wrong, miss fish on this, it happens, but you're talking 6 bait, you're talking 6 hooks. You got 2 sets of triples on here. So what makes this kind of capitalizing especially is you can throw it in there. You can throw it right in there in the gunk, right where you want to put something that you normally wouldn't put something. That's where you put this bad boy. I'm talking in the junk. That's where I throw this thing. The heaviest wood I can find, the heaviest reed patches that I can find, that's what I throw this around. And that's what I've been capitalizing on here lately, as well as heavy rock cover, big chunk rock that's in deeper water, 5 to 6 foot, that's still slightly submerged. You still kind of see the rock, or concrete or whatever, trash and rubble and stuff like that. So it's like you want to throw something in there, but you can't get those fish that are down deep underneath those rocks. So we throw something in there that brings them out. We still have that drawing power, and that's what I was talking about, the size of the bait. It's still big enough, and it still has that profile of a big bait. Still brings the splash, and is going to attract those fish. but at the same time, you're going to be a lot more effective. This is like throwing a frog in there, and your frog just gets smoked, you know, and you force him out, pull him out. Same concept. You can throw this thing in there, he's going to come up. This thing sits on top of the water line, and as it sits in the water line, it just kind of like, without even doing anything, it just kind of moves by itself with the water itself. There's a little bit of chop on the water, it kind of moves by itself. It just looks like a shad down there underneath the water, or on top of the water, just kind of floating around. But that bill gives you the ability to turn that bait and bring it back to you while keeping those hooks completely weedless. I'm talking, ain't nothing gonna hit that. I'm sorry. I don't care what y'all say, ain't nothing getting that. Right? So you can bring this thing over the top of whatever you want to bring it over effectively, slowly, so that fish gets a good look at it, and you're able to get a good hook set, a good strike. Fish is going to be confident when he gets that bait. Now, 9 times out of 10, when it's sitting still and I'm throwing it in a patch of wood, I'm going to get a backhand strike. That fish is going to come up and try and sideways turn that bait and engulf it. They usually don't come up and just try to hit it from the head and pull it down. They're going to try and knock that bait down, bring it underwater, make sure it's dead, make sure it's good, and they're going to eat that thing. So it's one of them deals you really got to pay attention to the bait, how it's getting eaten, how your fish are reacting to it. But most importantly, just giving it a little bit of time, letting him get it down in there. It's like a frog bite when you really want him to eat the bait, so you let him take it a little bit. Same kind of concept. So let's talk about a fast retrieve with this bait, really covering water. Something else I really like to do when I'm not fishing a bunch of heavy brush and stuff like that, but I've got this bait tied on, I'm kind of moving along. I got a couple other baits tied on, but this is going to be a good moving bait to throw early in the mornings, late in the evenings. It's really going to give you the attraction that you want on the surface as well as subsurface. And a lot of times what happens is you'll throw this up there, you're running a bank line, or you know, you're out fishing a little bit off the bank, but you're just kind of cruising, you're just covering water, right? A lot of guys do that, me myself included, just covering water. And what happens is you'll make that cast up there to the bank, you're bringing it back, and that fish comes up and looks at it, hits the tail end, swipes at it. You see a little riff in the water behind it. You feel it, what I like to call getting washed out. When you see your bait getting washed out, a fish comes up, he washes it out. You know, it feels like you might have got a bite, but you didn't. What happens is that fish is still hanging around down there. He came up, he swiped at it, but this thing's on top of the surface. You're waking it, right? You're bringing it back. So you hit a countdown on it, you crank it down a couple of times, you get it down there just subsurface, and you get it to running. That back end starts popping real good. But it's not going anywhere because it's big. It's like a big crankbait. So it's really just moving slow, but you're getting a lot of action out of it. That fish will immediately turn back around when it starts to dive and kill that thing. He thinks that it's trying to escape and get away. Last thing he wants to do is let his prey escape. So he's going to go ahead and tear it up. The bill. Sturdy. It doesn't chip. I've banged this thing up against concrete walls, rocks, trees, docks, boats, you name it. I've slammed this thing up against it. It's wiggled loose 1,000 times, and I've reset it 1,000 times. I've used a bunch of different epoxies, 2 parts, 3 parts, singles. The thing I found that works the best, to be honest with you, is just Gorilla Glue. I'll throw some Gorilla Glue in there and straighten it back out, and it's good to go. Throw a little bit of flash on the front, a little bit of feather. I'll switch it out. I'll either do red or I'll do white. It just depends on how I'm feeling. It really doesn't matter. I don't think the color, just as long as there's like an indicator or something towards the front of the bait. You've got that bill on there, so when they're eating this bait, they've really got to eat it. When they're short striking the front of it, they'll sometimes miss because the bill's in the way. So you really want to put that indicator on there to kind of set them back a little bit. I really want them to eat the bait at the back end. That way it's like, you know, kind of like a crankbait where it's sticking out the front of their mouth. I posted a picture the other day of one that did the same thing, and he had the whole bait just like that eaten up. And that's how I want to do it. It's more effective. It's more clean.
I've got both hooks, and I don't have to worry about losing a fish. If the fish comes up and just eats the front of this thing, I mean, there's a lot of room for error right in there. So it's really key to kind of put something here where it sets back. And I changed these hooks out. I put, I think these are 2-aught KVD triple grips. So they're a little bit bigger than the standard, and they set back a little bit further because they are bigger. So I think that kind of helps out a little bit. But yeah, a little bit of flash on there. Like I said, help offset the bite and get a little bit more, get a little more feedback from the fish when they're actually able to hit it back there. But anyways, guys, I don't keep this video too long. Bullshad 4x4 wake. This is a great pre-summer, post-summer, middle of summer, morning, evening, when these fish are aggressive. This is a great bait. When they're a little bit stagnant and they're sitting up in heavy cover and then they won't come out, but you want to throw a big bait, this is also a great bait to get that reaction bite off of that heavy timber. Guys down south, you should love it. It's a great bait. It really benefits the water that we throw. I mean, obviously this bait's going to be great all across the country, but particularly down in the south, dirtier water, heavier wood. This bait's really going to excel. I mean, it has for me, and it has for a lot of guys I know already. So go check them out, guys. www.bullshad.com. Get you a 4x4 weight. Get on the game. Get out there and catch some slouch donkeys. I'm going to end it here. We'll catch you on the next episode.